Hi, welcome back to Z-fari, the zombie video novel. This little snippet is the third section of chapter 6 in the book. So if you're ready, get comfy and maybe you'll enjoy what's going to happen next. BB's first day with his new rifle was full of nothing. No clouds in the sky, no breezes cooling the platform, no zombies. BB spent the day getting to know his new rifle. He read and reread the manual a dozen times. He then took a deep breath and disassembled his rifle, cleaned it, and reassembled it. He loaded the magazine. Now was time to spend some quality time with her. BB lay on the shooting mat between the sandbags. He looked through the scope and found the branch he had used for practice the previous day. The Barrett's magazine held 10 rounds. He centered the end of the branch in the reticle and went through the drill. When the time came to press the trigger, BB hesitated. His heart was pounding. He began the drill again. Finally, he was still enough to press the trigger. The 50 cal boomed. This was a lot more gun than his Marlin. But in the split second after he pressed the trigger, he saw the tip of the branch disappear in a spray of tiny wooden chips. BB smiled and aimed again a little farther up the branch. By the time BB had fired the magazine, he had hit the branch 7 times. He needed to fire many, many more rounds before he could depend on this gun. He disassembled it, cleaned it again, reassembled it, and put it carefully away in its case. Then he reached out for the Marlin. He loaded it and laid it on the mat between the sandbags. He sat down, Indian style, and picked up the binoculars he had left there. He scanned left to right, and then right to left, again and again and again. He stood up and stretched. He reached down and picked up the binoculars, put them around his neck, and then walked back to the swivel chair. He sat down. He spun the chair in a circle. He scanned the field in front of him, left to right and then right to left. He scanned the field again, nothing, and then nothing again. And it was only 10 a.m. Later it was noon, time for lunch. BB unpacked the little brown paper bag. 2 fried chicken legs, a bunch of green seedless grapes, 2 homemade oatmeal cookies. Today, Mrs. McGee's lunch was the best part of the job. Lunch took BB about 20 minutes, and then he had more than 3.5 hours until Sally relieved him. BB looked around. No one within 200 yards. He screamed his frustration as loudly as he could. He felt better. He laughed. Then he scanned the field again and again. After he finished his lunch, Dr. McDougall decided to examine the scratches on Willie's abdomen. Alice, or whatever her name was, had done a thorough job of cleaning the wounds. Dr. McDougall went to the cabinets along the back of the wall and found the digital camera, the Zeiss 100mm f2 macroplanar ZF2 lens, and 2 halogen lights on tripods. He brought the equipment to the wheeled table next to Willie and set up the tripods. It took McDougall over 3 hours, but he meticulously documented 26 scratch wounds in Willie's abdomen, both photographically and with detailed written notes. Each scratch was measured according to length, width, and depth, and then cataloged. McDougall wrote himself a note to remind himself to instruct his assistant to see to caring for these wounds. Willie would not be a viable test subject until the infection was controlled. Damn, he thought. The doctor spent the rest of the afternoon working with the data. Sergeant Earhart called a friend that afternoon. She called the Border Patrol station in Burlington, Colorado, and spoke to Sergeant Yeager, Charlene Yeager. Emily had trained with Charlene in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, just southeast of Tulsa 5 years ago. Charlene had been Emily's one true friend in patrol training. Maybe she knew where to find Corporal DeBigny. The corporal would get these recruits trained properly. Corporal DeBigny was stuck behind a desk in Kansas City. Sergeant Earhart called the station's commander and requested that she be transferred to the Witch. It was no secret in Kansas City that Corporal DeBigny was unhappy pushing papers. Earhart offered to trade Trooper Esterhazy for Corporal DeBigny. She sent Trooper Esterhazy's personnel file as an email attachment to the commander, knowing that Esterhazy's photograph would get the man's attention. If Earhart could have sent a photo of Esterhazy's cleavage, the commander would have driven over this afternoon to pick her up. That was plenty of work for one day. The next morning, BB got to work about 7:45 and had a pleasant chat with Ike. BB showed him the Barrett, and Ike was suitably impressed. As they talked, it seemed to BB that Ike wanted to say more, but was unsure of how BB would respond. After Ike left, Beebe disassembled the Barrett, cleaned it, and reassembled it. He loaded the magazine. He took the rifle to the mat at the point of the platform, laid it carefully down, and returned to the table by the swivel chair for the binoculars. When he returned to the mat, Beebe scanned the field, left to right, right to left. He waited 3 minutes and repeated the scan. 3 minutes more, and another scan. An hour and a half later, as Beebe moved the glasses to the right terminus of his scan, he saw something moving. He laid the binoculars carefully beside him on the mat and got into prone position. He used the scope on the rifle to look at the area again. There it was. A brown plaid shirt, blue pants, long, scraggly dark hair, shuffling away from him. Slowly, awkwardly, an undie. Beebe thought, let's see what this rifle can do. Beebe booted up the optical ranging system, a ballistics computer, and input the range to the target about 200 yards. He turned the elevation knob until the screen matched his target's distance. Internal sensors automatically calculated the ballistic solution, compensating for temperature and barometric pressure. Then Beebe began his papa's drill. He could feel the zombie. He was calm and ready. When he was still, he pressed the trigger, and he watched through the scope as the zombie's left arm exploded away from its body. Beebe grinned. "'Tis but a scratch." Beebe took his time, talking himself through the ritual. When he was still again, he pressed the trigger. A split second later, the zombie lost its right arm. "You stupid zombie bastard. Now you've got no arms left," Beebe whispered. 2 minutes later, Beebe pressed the trigger again, and the zombie lost its right leg as the .50 caliber round tore through its hip. The zombie now lay on its back, slowly, stiffly wriggling its remaining leg out to the right and its head to the left. Beebe shot off its last leg. "That's right, you zombie motherfucker," Beebe said. "None shall pass." And then Beebe put a round in its head. Beebe got up and called in the hit to the patrol station. They'd sent out a drone to verify. The Barrett was all the gun Beebe had hoped it would be. The rest of his shift went by quickly.